welcome to this interview. I'm glad to be sitting here with my good friend, my dear friend Leon Knibbs. It's a pleasure to be hosting this interview from here in Stockholm, Sweden. I hope all of you who are listening and watching at home are doing well, wherever you are in the world. So greetings to all you. Leon, thank you very much
Yeah.
for joining me.
Well, that's a pleasure. It's
Yeah.
really nice to do this with you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically we have a few questions lined up just about Leon's career and what his musical background is like, and how he's got here um, from the start of his musical career until this very point. So I'm going to start off with the very first question. The very first question I have for you is, what does your musical background consist of? What would you remember from your early childhood memories?
Well, from my early childhood, I would say I started playing the guitar fairly early and learning to sing songs. I learned songs very easily from the radio, and I used to entertain my mom and the friends in the neighborhood, just comping my guitar and singing some cover songs. And I remember my mother telling me by 13 years old I should go where there are big stages because I was born to be a musician. So that's where it started. Growing up, we used to have bands on the beach on Sundays, on weekends. So whoever come to the beach and was interested in music could go up and jam whichever band was occupying the instruments at the time. And there was actually the first time that I played timbalitas. And right away I got a recognition from one of the musicians as a French percussionist.
Amazing.
Yeah. And well, growing up through the time, it was not just music. I was into many different things. At 16 years old, there was this festival kept in Newtown, Dominica, something called Harlem Rock Festival,
Right.
where I actually made my very first appearance on stage, doing 2 songs, being backed up by a group, a bassman called Brian Rock, who is very active today, and that was very successful. So that was like my first big experience on the stage, besides singing in the church choir and thing, because we grew up in the Christian Union Mission Church. There I used to knock on the piano a little bit, and actually one of the missionaries actually wanted to take me to the States when her term was over.
Oh, wow.
But my father did not permit that. He says this boy will be trouble to you. So I mean, music was something that I always had. Growing up in the family that I grew up, my father was a carpenter every day after school.
Right.
We had to go to the workshop and learn to work.
Right.
And sometimes he'd even come and take me from school to go do a job with him, especially if it looked like it was going to rain and he had a roof to complete.
Yeah.
So I grew up working quite hard, actually. And just living life, really. I didn't have no particular musical aim at the time. Just music was something I loved doing. I loved comping the guitar and sing.
Yeah.
And
so it seems like there's a lot of musical experience kind of from your childhood. Seems like you were very involved in music.
Yes.
From a very early age.
Truly.
So roughly, what age would you say you first had like your very first musical experience?
My very first, what I would say, professional music thing started was I worked with Mantra. There was a group called Mantra that I kind of hung with and knock cowbells and do backup song and so.
Yeah.
And with them I got my very first professional musical confrontation, you can say.
Okay.
Because we got a recording contract by a French company called La Wardney Records.
Oh, wow.
So we had to leave the island and go to Martinique to do this record.
Right.
And in the studio, I understood what perfection is. Because I know I had to play that cowbell, and making a mistake almost to the end of a song, or didn't have to be a mistake, but a lighter knock than the knocks that have been before.
Yeah.
The engineer would stop and take it from the start. And I'm not just knocking the cowbells with a drumstick, I'm actually using a clavi.
Yeah, okay.
And after a while, it's like the hand go numb, but you have to keep that tack and that weight. So that was a great experience for me, actually. So you can say my first recording experience was in Martinique with the group Mantra.
Right. It seems as if your first experience in the studio, instantly you had to learn discipline from the get go.
from the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like obviously discipline was something that really kind of came in into your music style eventually, really, because it's something that, every musician needs to be able to record a song properly and to be able to get to a stage where, they can record a song at ease, let's say. Yeah.
Yes, right on.
Yeah.
To know it is not just fun. It is hard work. It's deep
Yeah, absolutely.
concentration. It is keeping the time, keeping the weight. So your phrasings are never different. And almost shortly after that, when we got back to Dominica from Matnik, um, I was told my ticket was there, so I was going. I had already been sent for by a friend from Dominica here to come to Sweden.
Okay.
27 years of age. I'm just finished one of the biggest electrical installations. That's the next thing. I worked as an electrician through my young life already
Yeah.
from 17 years of age.
Right.
And I grew up and did some great installations under the time. So it was not just music, it was like music, it was electrics, and it was Shotokan karate.
Yeah. A lot of things intertwined into one,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Do you remember any like specific artists that you listened to when you were growing up first?
Whoa, you had some. Well, in our youth, in our days as kids, the music thing was the radio. So early morning, your mom or father gets up, turns on the radio, and you have a series of country and western. You have
Yeah.
some rock music.
Right.
Then you have some music coming out of Jamaica. John Holt, Jimmy Cliff. And then in my youth, well, at one time I actually ran a club, so I have listened to a large range of music.
Yeah.
Um,
Good for the ear.
yeah, whoa.
Yeah.
So I don't grow up knowing one musical pattern. I know a lot of different genres of music. And I was always impressed with our cultural dance and music called Bele. And Bele turned into Kadas.
Right. Yeah.
Kadas comes into Kadas lips. So, and it grew. The whole fact is that I left Dominica just after I stayed, like just after the mantra recording thing was finished. Actually, they had to send me a copy of the album.
Okay.
Yeah. And I came to Sweden.
Yeah.
My intention coming here actually was to become an electrical engineer, kind of, which never really worked. And the music market was open. They were buying new cultures.
Yeah.
So very early, I started jamming with a group of young guys
Right.
in Bolmura, doing some blues, some rock and roll.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because when you first came to Sweden, of course, I'm guessing, moving from Dominica to Sweden, there must be a huge shift in the music scene, and the
Yeah.
actual music culture, if you will. So what I'm wondering is, what was like the biggest change, or do you remember anything specific that you thought, when you first came to Sweden, you thought, you know what, this is different to what I'm used to. Anything that like stands out for you?
Well, let's just say, growing up the way I did, with this wide range of different genres of music as a youth, Otis Redding, Percy Sledge, so it was soul music. Actually, this is what I thought I would do. I would be a soul singer.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, oh, I really love that. I really love soul music, listening to Otis Redding doing Born by the River. Wow, what vocal,
Yeah.
and that impressed me very much. So that was really where I wanted to aim because it was very much linked with spiritual music in a style.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. Yeah, but coming to Sweden and the chances I got, let us say, working with Hassan Babush Band, there I am, my first experience of playing with an African musician and really playing African style
Right.
percussions and thing. And also Hassan Ba was also a dynamite percussionist and vocalist.
Yeah.
Very, very African in his root. So that was like my first experience playing out in Stockholm City.
Yeah.
Was with Hassan Babush Band. And that was a great experience. But actually, you learn as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So obviously there must have been like a lot of challenges when you first came to Sweden. They're not challenges per se, but let's say differences which you had to kind of adapt to.
well, a lot
Um,
of differences. But for me, like the music was like it. It is like suddenly I had landed
mm,
in what I really wanted to be.
right.
In all the things that I learned from my youth and my different professions, music was the thing that really sat closer to my heart. And electrical installations. Yeah,
Can't forget that.
yeah. But music was the thing because when I started playing, like, wow, no amount of work was too hard for me. It was a pleasure to, even if I was the only musician who got the on time to load the PA systems onto the truck,
Yeah,
going
yeah,
out to do a
yeah,
gig. That was pleasure for me as long as it was music.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, music, going through the changes, the cultural indifferences, and living in a country where you have to learn a different language because so many people didn't speak English.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
came to Sweden, there were not so many black people. You
yeah,
never met another black person. You could be walking through Stockholm 3 months and didn't meet another person you can naturally communicate with.
right. And this
Um,
was also during the late 70s, wasn't it, when you
yeah, yeah.
first got to
I came
Sweden?
to Sweden
Yeah,
77, actually, the
right.
7th of May. Yeah.
What was, let's say, your first experience in Sweden? Do you remember like your very first experience of music in Sweden? Your very first time you hit the stage in Stockholm?
The
Or,
stage in Stockholm.
yeah.
Wow. Oof. How does one remember that? It's been.
Or what's something that maybe comes to your mind of your earlier memories of playing on stage? Because
No,
you explained that what was the first band again that you played with?
Hassan Babush band.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So was it something that was natural that came to you at first, or did it take a while for you to settle into Sweden and then eventually get into the
Well,
music
no, I
scene?
started playing with Hassan somewhere in 79.
Okay.
Yes. Like I said, the first group of musicians were just some young guys who had this rehearsing local
Right.
under the Ika shop in Bulmura. So I used to go, it was pretty close to where I live.
Okay. Okay.
So when I got to know that and started making a few friends, well, my friend Ube was like my first Swedish friend in Stockholm. And he took me down to the local one night. Guys still drinking their beers and
Yeah.
doing this different. And I'm like, wow, I'm excited for this. There I have a chance to do some music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were doing rock and roll and, well, strictly rock and roll and blues, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many bands were you part of? Because was it after Hassan Babosh you were
Well,
part of?
after Hassan, I played with, well, there was a Jamaican guy called Ron Simmons
Right.
who wrote some beautiful songs, and he was really a great bassman also and great vocalist.
Yeah.
So we built a group called Jamaica.
Okay.
With Jamaica, it was a little more professional for me, more in my thing, you understand? Well, even with Hassan, but I started doing some songs, like maybe 2 or 3 songs per gig, I'm doing things like Sugar Boom Boom and
Yeah.
Feeling Hot, 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 and
Okay.
yeah.
And what about after that? So how long were you with Jamaica for?
Wow, Jamaica was like big band. I think we were together for like 6, 7 years.
Wow, so quite a long period then,
Yeah,
really.
quite a long
And
period.
for a band kind of life, it's
Yeah, at
quite a
that
long time
time,
to be
yes,
fair.
quite a
Yeah,
while, yeah.
fair enough. And after Jamaica, were you part of any other
Well,
groups after that? Or
working with Jamaica also, because there were places where we gig, and when we gig for a week.
right,
And if the band was good, sometimes you could play for 2 weeks,
right, right.
playing every night with the exception of Sunday nights.
Mm,
And in that place called Cafe Ricardo's on Gamlestone, I met some great musicians, people like, I met Bob Marley's wife's father, for instance, Al Giro,
wow,
Tina Turner. When these big artists came to Stockholm and do their shows, Although Cafe Ricardo's was a small group, a small club, but they always came to Cafe Ricardo after the concerts.
yeah,
So, well, musicians would come into Cafe Ricardo to get a chance to choose other musicians for recording
right,
things or going out on tour. And in as much as then I worked strictly as a percussionist and backup singer, I
right,
got to play with many different people. Came to the stage where I winded up working as a kind of studio musician.
Right.
So I got the chance to put congas and bongos and timbalators on many different artists' record, like
Yeah.
Mokban Music, Style, and a few other people. There's a guy here who's doing very good. What's his name now? Um, he was doing this kind of but anyway, young guy, 16 years old. He's a
Mm.
wicked bass man,
Right.
and he's getting into funk music. And he came to Daisy Bell studio where I worked like kind of constantly doing percussions on people's recordings and so different artists' recordings.
Fair enough. So it seems
Yeah.
like your main instrument was obviously percussion, and
And
you know
backup
at the
singing.
time,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, at the time.
yeah. Did you? Because obviously now on your records, for example, you play guitar,
Hmm.
and it's quite a, a prominent instrument in your music
Hmm.
sometimes. Um, when did you start learning guitar? Did you learn from a young age, or
Well,
was it
like I said,
Sweden?
I used to always love to come and sing all like from 10, 11 years, 12 years old
Fair enough.
and growing up. So that was like my part-time thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I always played and I started writing song. Actually, the first song I wrote in my life was while I played with Mantra.
Right.
And that was a freaky experience because I wrote the song, I wrote the lyrics, which I find was heavy, and I took it to my partner, Julie Martin, who was kind of like the leader of the band thing.
Mm.
And then Julie, I write a song, but I couldn't explain to him what I want to do with it.
Yeah. Still early days, I guess.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So I remember we were down in the club, and Julie, I wrote a song, and he's saying, yeah, but what do you want to do with it? What rhythm you want to put to it, and so on. And I couldn't explain to him.
Right. So there was like a stepping stone,
That was a
from
stepping
then
stone
on. Yeah.
because when I came to Sweden, where I had time for music, actually, it actually became my first song. And even today, when I started making my own bands, it has always been the first song that was played on every concert.
Nice.
Song is
Nice.
known, called "I Want to Know."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. An
yeah,
amazing
very
song.
powerful song.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had the pleasure of being to your gig actually, pre-pandemic actually.
Yeah,
Before
yeah,
the
yeah.
COVID pandemic, I remember I was at your gig with my friend, and yeah, we were watching it, and it was that was actually the first song that you played,
Eh,
the opening song, wasn't it?
Yes, I want to
Yeah,
know. It has
yeah.
been the opening song on every gig.
Right, right, right. So it's
Yes,
kind of stapled in into
yes,
the opening parts of the
yeah, yeah.
set list. Nice, nice. Eventually, when after Jamaica and these groups that you played in, you had then started touring in Scandinavia. You started going on a, let's say, a bigger tour than what you used to, and just playing in Stockholm. You're
Oh,
going around
yes.
a few countries. You were playing with Jukka Tolonen,
Yeah,
a
that
guitarist
was
at
a
the time.
great stepping stone in my life
Yeah,
because, and there again, writing Cafe Ricardo, I think Yuka had this. Well, he had this recording contract with uh, uh, the name will come to me shortly, Sonnet Records, and he came to Cafe Ricardo's, and in Cafe Ricardo, looking at us on stage, he chose a few musicians
right.
to do this reggae album with him.
Okay.
So we made that recording, and then we have to go on tour to promote
The album.
the group and the album, yeah. And Yuka says to me at one rehearsal, Leon, you write songs? Yeah, I say, yeah, man. Then you play them on guitar and thing, yes. I said, so well, and then he asked me to put on a few songs because the material on the album was not enough for a whole concert, a full
Okay.
length concert.
Right.
So there I got the first chance to do some of my tunes with
Yeah.
Yuka Tulan, who was an unbelievable guitarist, really great musician,
Yes.
very humble person.
Yes.
Yep. So we made this LP record, and then we went on tour. So on tour, I got a chance to introduce my music to the Scandinavian public, you can say.
Right.
And on working with Yuka, one day he tells me, Leon, you should really have your own band because he liked my stage work and what I was doing. The band was pretty good, and he says you should really build your own band.
Yeah.
And so from there, after the first tour, I built the first group, which I called I Am.
Right.
And actually, it was the very first group in Stockholm that ever made rap music. Well,
Right.
people don't know that because it was not recorded.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's this tune that we composed musically, and it was called The Moment. So it was never a basic written song because every time the music was played, I improvised something different on it.
Right.
The
Okay.
bass man liked rap, so he did some rapping
Yeah.
on certain parts of the song, yes,
Yeah.
but we never got a chance to record that. So this was just stage work,
Yes.
live work, yeah, but that was a great experience. I was really
Amazing,
proud of,
amazing.
yeah.
The time that Yuka Tolonen told you that we need a few songs for the band
Hmm.
to obviously lengthen, like let's say the set list of the album or whatever it was at the time. Was this like your first proper, responsible role? Let's say, did you feel like any responsibility in,
Oh,
putting
yeah.
something forth to the band?
Yes, and my own work, my own written work,
Yeah.
my own composition, and a chance to really like do what I wanted to do
Yes.
on stage with all my heart.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, wow,
Yeah.
and to put my songs at work, then I realized, wow, I really got it. I mean,
Nice.
the reaction from people like, wow, man, I was surprised at that. Yes, because first, there's a little shyness that hits you when you're doing work for your first time.
Yeah.
And at the end of some songs, the applause didn't come immediately,
Right.
which made me feel like, oh, stage open and swallow me. I thought I was so bad. But the whole fact is the people were transformed.
Yeah.
The lyrics on the song and the way I presented it. Because when they started applauding and stamping their feet on the floor, they didn't want to stop.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was just great moments, very, very, very great moments. And so from there, then you could advise me, man, you should build your own band, and I did that. And the very first gig I did, I took Euchre and Vieco and a
Right.
few different musicians, and we did a gig for Denver's motorcycle anniversary,
Okay.
where we had about 5 to 6 thousand people in the public.
Wow.
By the third song, I had 5,000 people shouting, Leon, Leon.
Oh,
And
wow.
that is like, wow. The drummer looks at me and he said, man, you got it all.
Wow.
you
Nice.
know,
Nice.
yeah, so it was, but me, I am never always so impressed with things. To me, every moment is a moment. And in that moment, you get what you give in a style.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you do something full-heartedly, and the reaction from the public and what people think or react to the music that's what builds
Absolutely.
your energy and
Yeah.
strength to go on because you feel worthy. You start understanding, hey, I'm doing this. Oh, I have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And under the time working with what people call the hammers, the really great
Yeah. Yeah.
musicians in the city, you learn a lot of things.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have different remarks. Oh, you're not doing enough, man. You can do more. And then you start doing another concert, another place. Somebody tells me, you play too much, man. And me, in my humble mind, I always listen to people. And maybe that could have been one of my weaknesses, is I listen too much to people and I take what people say very seriously. Because the first guy who told me I play too much, I thought, okay, this guy is a big musician and he knows what he's saying. So I started cutting down on my playing.
Mm.
In
Right.
Finland, the guy says, Leon, what you doing? You have all these instruments and you're not playing them, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to do more.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I came to a standpoint, I will play Leon. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, whenever I'm on stage, whenever I'm doing what I'm doing, I am doing it from the fullness of my heart.
Absolutely.
And whatever critics, whatever ideas other people have is up to them. But at that moment, I am giving my all in everything I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like as if there's a lot of criticism that comes forth from people who listen to songs that you made, and I'm not just saying necessarily. I just mean in general for
Hmm.
every musician. It's something that every musician has to face.
Yes, I guess so,
Opinions
yeah.
and whatnot. What was the thing that made you kind of think to yourself, right? You know what? Time to stop listening to opinions. What made the change for you to then go on and say, right, I need to do my own thing? Was there a certain experience that you had, or
Well, yeah, with the experience of applying the not enough. and then being told, hey man, you're not doing enough.
Mm.
So
You had to find a balance
I have to
almost.
find a balance
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And so it made me kind of, okay, I start working out my plans through a song where I will apply a little more, where I will release, you know what I mean,
Right.
and
Right.
step back a little bit. But working as a percussionist, and that's a powerful thing. It is like,
Absolutely.
wow, it's like you're Mr. President, you
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
very
heart of the band.
dominant. Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
it was a great feeling actually.
Yeah. So what was your or actually what happened after touring Scandinavia?
Oh, well, what happened? I built my first band.
Yes.
I built my first band called I Am, and phew, we used to travel all the way to Knibbs to rehearse.
Right.
Sometimes you have no train passage money, so you hop the train anyway, or you
We've all been there.
hitchhike. Hitchhiking didn't work too good in Sweden, so you had to
Yeah.
hop the train
That's right.
and get there and rehearse a set of hours and hitch the train back to Stockholm.
Yeah.
But this were the moments, for me, I never felt it as a pressure.
Right.
It was always like, hey man, we're going to play. Yeah,
Yeah.
playing. As long as it had with music to do, that took away everything else.
Absolutely.
All emotional discord, all discomforts we have in the society at the moment. As long as it had to do with music,
Yeah.
I rush. I would be on a course doing very good.
Nice.
Coming close to finals, I get a call to go on a tour. I tell the teacher, I'm sorry, man, the music is calling. I have to go. Leon, look, you're doing so good. Soon you have to write this test. You cannot leave now. Hey, I'm sorry, man, the music calls.
Yeah, you have to have your priorities straight.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah. When
can't
the
you?
music calls, I'm gone, man.
Absolutely.
Just the way it is.
Yeah.
My hope, though, through that time was after all this experience and started putting my group together and well, the first group I think we did one or two gigs, a few gigs before the keyboard player had to make some move and something happened, so it didn't work out. Exactly what the reason was, I do not know. No, but we were together for quite a while. So it became my first pyramidics after, yeah, to be truthful.
Okay.
Yeah, because from I Am, got a few different musicians, got a different keyboard player. Frank Thompson, guy from Texas. Really, man, what a keyboard player. This guy really knew the MIDI and the digital thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Because I remember at rehearsals, I never remember him taping anything, but what he was doing is actually writing the songs in his keyboard as we played.
Right.
Because next rehearsal, I am hearing trumpets, I'm hearing strings, I'm hearing
Wow.
bells, and like, wow, it sounds like a 32-man orchestra playing. Yes. So much so that I remember our first gig was done in a place called Fels Everstein.
Okay.
I sold 227 tickets 2 weeks before the gig.
Right.
At the gig, we sold another 114 tickets.
Nice.
Now, a musician who I used to work with, a guy called Abe in Hassan Babush band, he came to me and he says, Leon, where are you going? I asked him, what you mean? He says, this is too good. This is your first gig.
Yeah.
It is too good. The band is going to break up.
Yeah.
Because where do you go from there? It's like you have no more place to be. You're already playing on the height.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Okay.
that was, to me, I took that as a heavy, and really and truly the band did break up after a while. But again, for some odd reason, a lot of musicians get jealous of other musicians' potential.
Right.
And because maybe about this guy, his woman is doing pictures of me much more than he liked to see. And so he thought, well, no, man, you think you're the next Bob Marley, we're going to crush your band. And he crushed the band for real. And they built a funk group on the side, but they made a mistake. They took me as percussionist because they were not sure of the drummer.
No.
So they gave me a gig as percussionist.
Yeah.
I say, hey, guys, put me behind the curtain to play. I don't want to stand in front of the stage. Put me behind the curtain to play. And still, standing behind the curtain to play, people still coming to me. Great gig, man. Great gig. It's like, yeah, so you see, you cannot hide me
Yeah.
because it's the work that I produce. that turns people on. It's not just who I am, it is what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, yes, eventually they also fell aside, but later on I continued with Pyramidics. I got some new musicians. I had my friend Conatil from Antigua, got a drummer called Harry Thompson from Barbados. I had two beautiful Swedish women, Anna, who happened to be my daughter's mom after a while, and Lisen, who were really great backup singers. And we did a lot of gigs. And wherever we applied for a gig, we got it.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Wherever we sent a demo, we got gig.
Yeah. Powerful demos.
Yeah, it's really great.
Amazing. Right. Right. So tell me about Fear No Man. That was a major release of yours and Leon and the Pyramidics.
Yeah.
From what year did you release this album?
What year did I release that album? Well, at the time it was recorded and the time it became the album, what we would say, about 5 years ago.
Right.
Could it be so long? Yes, about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Really, 5, 6 years ago.
What was the message from the album? What was the album
Well,
about?
Fear No
explain to
Man.
people.
Fear No Man. I don't, maybe a lot of people haven't even understood the statement, Fear No Man. But the whole fact is that in life, we really have to rely on us and our God self, that spirit that pushes us on, and shouldn't get afraid of what other people think or say so much, but really go forward knowing that what you give is 100% honest. You know what I mean? It's nothing copied. It's totally original.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if you might be in a so-called down situation,
Yeah.
the whole fact is you have to have your trust in the Most High, a higher force that keeps you pushing on.
Yeah.
You know, so Fear No Man is really about that. I'm in a situation. I'm down. I'm emotionally broken, and I'm broke financially, and things still feels like, wait, man, there's no end to this misery. But then you wake up and you pull your socks up and you hit the road.
Yeah.
And you meet somebody that gives you a reason to feel happy about the day.
Yeah.
You know, this is the wondrous moments in living.
Right.
So man should not live with fear and allow anybody to break them down or take them down, but really just trust self.
Yeah.
You know, and move in that spirit and just move forward and do what you have to do.
Right. Right.
Yeah, really.
How did the actual process go about making the album? Because
Well,
it was the first major release that you had with the Pyramidics, right?
yes. Well, in those days, to get gigs, you had to record and make demo tapes.
Yes.
This is cassette at work in those days. And the beautiful thing with this, after it's more or less a live recording. The band played together at one time. There are very few dub-ons where I changed some percussion. That was done by my percussionist at the time, Peter Mikis.
Yeah.
And the guy on the flute, he's the guy on the flute also.
Right.
The German Swede. It was pretty good, but again, me that had worked many years as a professional percussionist, I had my touch. So on certain songs, I dubbed on some different percussions there.
Right.
The guitarist had to dub on a few lines. And the nice thing about this thing is I happen to be the engineer at the table. I actually mixed that piece of material myself.
You did well.
Yes. So for a long time, because of my shyness or what I would say, I never thought it was good enough because I had done it myself.
Right. Right.
But then showing it to different people. I remember one Jamaican guy visited me and he says, but I heard you're a musician. You have something I can listen to? I said, yes. And I put on the music and he goes like, man, you sound just like Bob Andy. You know, and what are you doing sitting here, man? You should be out there doing some big gigs and so on. So few people have make me feel like, wow, yes, I can handle this, because other people, many people who had listened to this music recognized me or placed me with artists that was already in the heights.
Yeah.
You understand? And then meeting Nick Glass is the wall. When one time I decided to make an album, I had gone to England to London to make my first record, where Julie Mate, a guy from Mantra, worked with me on most of the material.
Yes.
And then I thought, okay, those songs that I had completed in London, I will use them as the last songs on the album and use 5 songs of the Pyramidics for the first 5 songs. So
Okay.
that's why there are 9 songs on the album.
Right.
And there's people like, Leon, why don't you put this on Spotify? This is great music, man. You know, this is really a good album, you know. And
Yeah.
come on, you joking, you know, pull my legs.
Yeah.
No, Leon, I'm serious. So Niklas actually took it on his own to put Piano Man on Spotify
No. Wow.
and YouTube. Yes. So that was a great move. That was a great thing he did.
Yeah.
And it made me feel a little exalted and a little worthy, you know,
Yeah.
and which actually brought about my interest in putting Take Heed together. Well, there are other videos such as Watch Your Steps, and a lot of people, maybe to be political correct, might be a little against the feminist way of thinking, because when you watch your steps, you say, my heart skipped a beat when I saw you, you know. So I'm talking about a girl.
Yeah.
But people don't understand this thing in walks of life. We talk about we have to respect and understand each other.
Yeah.
So respecting is watching your steps.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I will not treat you any way because I love you and I like you being on my side. So I will watch the things that I do. I won't be aggressive, or I won't do this or that. And I think the same way it applies to me, it applies to you, my sweetheart. You know, you cannot just treat me anyway and think I'm gonna be a lover guy, because I don't stand shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
So yeah, you give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more, just more about, like, respecting one another.
Respecting one another. That's all it is.
I think that's
about,
obviously
really.
the main message, really.
Yes, that is the message in that
Absolutely.
song.
Yeah. Well, listen, you obviously mentioned your album Take Heed, obviously, afterwards. That was your latest album that you released.
Yeah.
That was released last year, in fact, in roughly April
Somewhere
2021,
there.
wasn't it?
Yes, somewhere there.
Right. So, because that was released, how was that different to Fear No Man? When you released Fear No Man, obviously, at the time, it was different because you were working in a band.
Yeah.
Take It was more of a solo kind of project.
Yes,
almost.
yeah. This work was done in my home studio, and where I sit and more or less produce the thing myself. And Take Heed is an album with a heavy message. And if one was to listen to this album in its entirety, you will discover it is also giving you direction to what we call enlightenment.
Yeah.
Spiritual knowledge, the things that you need to wake up within you.
Yeah.
Because spirituality is not about belief, it's about knowing.
Yeah.
It's about accepting who you are. Right. And when at that stage you look into life differently, you see things differently, you have a different knowledge and wisdom to share with others, because you have traveled the path. You understand? Yes. Yeah. So Take Heed, actually, I can say that it is a message that was given to me by the Most High to share with the people. It's about changing. It's about circumcision of the heart and mind.
Yeah.
It's changing the way you think, your consciousness.
Right.
Because like we were born and raised, schooled and educated, and so we live with one certain consciousness. Yeah. Ambition, finance, education, sickness and death. You know, we say we're getting old by the time we're 25 years old. People measure time. Yeah. You have to drop these things. Life is not about time. Life is about living.
Absolutely.
And when you speak words to be honest, when you say love, to really mean love,
absolutely,
to become the gods that we are.
That's right.
People forget that part of our life, that in all religious indoctrinations, we are taught we are created in the image and likeness of the Most High God. That's a powerful place to be. Yeah. Somewhere along our lives, we lose that God-likeness.
Yeah.
and we become believers because we become tarnished by religious indoctrination.
Right. Right.
It's like they take God away from us and put him up in heaven so we cannot deal with God. You understand?
Yeah.
We can only
Yeah.
believe that there is a God.
Yeah.
But the whole fact is we have to be that God.
Yeah.
We have to live in that likeness in order to walk in the light and the glory of God.
Nice. That's a
Yeah,
nice message. Yeah.
not become a Christian or a Methodist, but become a God man.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. And the thing is, it's just more about believing in yourself and being able to have the capability to strive and, go on and do things that, you would think otherwise that you couldn't achieve in the
Yeah,
first
right
place.
on.
So
Yes.
that, the overall kind of message of Take Heed really relays that message of, right, look, at the end of the day, we're all human, but
Yeah.
there is also like a amazing higher power that we can, feel within ourselves almost,
Yes, and live with,
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
deal with others. You know, I listen to the song "Who Takes the Blame."
Mm,
They understand a lot of things are happening on earth, and everybody speaks about the happening. They never, it's like they never concern themselves with the reason why it's happening.
yeah,
You
yeah,
understand?
yeah.
Then what is the song? What's it called? I did not come into this world to condemn thee, but to fulfill the promise that was given. Open your eyes. You know, here it is, man.
Yes.
The key to the understanding of the knowledge of life
Yeah.
itself. You know what I mean?
It's a powerful thing, yes.
So yes. So and then we go on to the song called "The Song."
Mm,
Hey, look what's happening in the world. Open your eyes. Be wise. You know,
yeah.
abstain from this nonsense, this weakness, and be. You know what I mean? It takes people, it takes time because you know you watch what's on the mass media, music on a whole. Serious songs don't get listened to too often or too much.
Mm,
People like sex,
yeah.
sexy this, sexy that,
Yeah.
batty this, dig that, whatever they do. But and those songs get higher attention when you're singing about songs of deliverance. When I say deliverance, soul deliverance.
Mm,
So, because no matter how deep you look into it, we all are responsible for our own lives.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
understand? And somewhere we have to come out of what I would say the gutter mindedness
Yeah. Yeah.
and lift ourselves up to
Yeah.
that stage where nothing can shake us. You go through,
Absolutely.
there's a saying, people say, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm keeping my head above water. You
Yeah. Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So you're keeping yourself from drowning.
Yeah.
But while they're saying that, they're still drowning and they don't realize it
Yeah.
because they really have allowed themselves to fall below themselves. Now, in this album, listening to these albums and the reality of most songs, people would discover, but wow, here is a whole lesson on the step up to what we would call enlightenment.
Yeah.
Or I would like to say godlikeness. I like
Yeah.
that word. Many people have problem with God, but
Yeah.
I guess it's because they don't understand what the word means.
Yeah.
They're thinking God of God as a name, but it's
Yeah.
not a name. It's really a height.
It's a powerful word, to be
Yeah,
honest. And it's a very powerful
that
word.
that word resounds deep within your spirit when you say it.
Absolutely.
And this thing is not just a thought thing, because when you get into that, it has physical manifestations. You
Mm-hmm.
feel it in your skin. You feel it in your whole being.
Yeah.
Then people you meet on the trains, on your walk, or people you're confronted with and you happen to get into conversation with, when they hear what you have to say, they marvel like, wow, I've never thought of it so deep. I had a discussion about God with three priests. The elder priest who told me he had been to Africa distributing Bibles all his life. He told me, I've never heard God discussed so intensely. I mean, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because the fact that Godhead, that place to be at the height of your intelligence or being,
Yeah.
is effective and a little more than effective. It is also very real.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's a positive message to be taken from the actual album itself.
Hmm.
Take heed, and using these powerful words like godlike or whatever it may be. It just relays a message that there's something positive to take from each song on the album. There's a
Yes.
certain message. We
Yeah.
must look deeper and past some stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, Take Heed. Well, as it was released last year, it was yeah, it was a much different album to obviously your previous works.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and much more. I would say, for me, it is a higher stage in my musical career
right.
because there I am not playing with anybody else. On one or two songs, Iceman, a guy from Barbados, maybe did the bass and maybe did a lead guitar on one or two songs. But the basic production is my own work.
Absolutely.
My keyboard player played on a few songs. I did the keyboard on some songs. A Swedish guy who works with my daughter's mother, with Anna,
Right.
he played on 3 different songs. So I have a few artists here and there, but the basic picture of the thing, the production, is actually my production.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Right. Swiftly moving on. Your latest release, in fact, was Sweetful Belle. Fantastic piece of music, of course. Um, what was your well, in fact, I should be asking, what does Sweetful Belle mean? If you
Well,
translate it for the people.
Street Food Ballet is actually a dance.
Right.
Well, a ballet is one of our cultural dances in Dominica. And actually, I look at a guy playing the guitar, doing a song for Dominica after Maria had smashed Dominica.
All right.
And he was moving his feet in a certain way.
Right.
And I thought, wow, look at this. So looking at him, I created a dance and put it into ballet called Sweep Foot Ballet.
Right.
Which so you have the basic ballet dance, but you have this other sweep foot action
Okay.
in it.
Yeah.
You know, so I made that song Sweep Foot Ballet. And lovingly enough, my cousin came down from Paris to pay me a visit for a week, spend a
Yeah.
week with me. And she always loved singing and so on. She really liked artist work, but she never got into it, got married, got divorced, blah, blah, up and down, whatever it is. But in that week she spent with me, we put some lyrics together. So the name of the song was already created. The rhythm was already recorded. I had already done the musical part of it.
Yeah.
And we sat together and put some words together. And so she got a chance to do the lead singer on the album.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
That's
really
right.
gives me a lot of satisfaction. Some
Yeah.
people think, Leon, you should do the lead song and let her back you up. But for me, it was a gracious thing to do to allow her to be that she had been wanting to do all her life.
Yeah. That's a very nice touch, in fact.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
wanted to make a video with the dance so people would see the dance Sweep Foot Ballet.
Yeah.
But because of financial situation and the pandemic or the panic them thing, you know, the lack of people couldn't associate, and I haven't got money to pay people to come and do the dance with me. I haven't never succeeded to put
Right.
the video together, but I still hope sometime in the near future
Of course.
that will still be done.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
man.
Yeah. In fact, obviously, the pandemic affected. I mean,
Oh,
everyone,
massively,
across the
massively.
world, really.
That came and just really changed things because my band was doing good. We were out gigging when
Yeah.
the pandemic came, and then suddenly we cannot gig, we cannot rehearse, and
Right. Right.
but at the same time, for me, that gave me the time to sit at home and really do my music. So I have a lot of material. I have like, the thing is, it is hard for me in a style because I cannot just say I'm a reggae musician or a calypsonian or because my thing is creating music.
Yeah.
So I have some Afro funk rhythms, and I have some Kadas rhythms or whatever you want to culture, little more cultural Caribbean high lifestyle.
Right.
But again, I am an original guy, so I do my thing my way,
Yeah.
and I just try to do it as good as I can,
Fair enough.
and hope that people who hear it will hear its originality and give it some attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. Does it have a well? What does the actual song mean to you, Sweet for Bella?
So Food Belly means a lot to me because it's the only one of its kind.
Yeah.
And I get a chance to express me in my cultural
Yeah.
genre, you can
Yes.
say.
Yes.
with little modifications. Well, again, the originality of Brotherly,
Yeah,
Leon
absolutely.
Knibbs, whatever, but so Sweet Food Belly means um, it is something that takes me to another height musically also.
Yeah,
I'm even the way I play the guitar on Sweet Food Belly is not something that I usually do. But
yeah,
to me, that song, that creation called for that type of playing, and
absolutely.
through the powers of the Most High, I become possible to deliver that,
Nice.
And yeah, so when other people tell me about my guitar work on the class of music on Sweet Food Belly, I feel glorified in a style, but still humbleness just says thank you. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, well, swiftly moving on. You have some new songs obviously in the works. Um, a few pieces of music, in fact, not just one. Um, what is the plan? Like, what are you planning to release at some point soon,
Well,
in the near future?
that is a great question. That is actually a great question. That
Uh,
question takes me into the depth of thinking what I really want to do.
yeah,
Now, for many people, a reggae musician is a reggae musician and he does reggae music, and a calypsonian is a calypsonian. Me, I am just a
mm,
musician.
yeah,
So, like I said earlier in the start of this interview, I am grown up with a lot of different genres of music that I have listened to. And through my time of playing with different artists here in Sweden, I also developed a potential of creating my own type of music. So
yeah,
I think like I wake up today and I, oh man, I pick up my instrument, I start playing, and oh, here comes the funk. You know what I mean?
mm,
Afro funk, whatever we want to call it as. And I do that. And for me, it is just as important as a reggae song or a kada. So it's just another piece
yeah,
of music created by Leon.
yeah,
Some people have advised me, but you should do one thing and stick to that so you become very good at it. I think one thing, I am not one person.
mm,
I am all persons.
yeah,
You
yeah,
understand? I am not one sound. I am all sounds.
yeah,
When I pick up my instrument and I start playing, maybe just jamming, it gives me something. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Man, I go on that.
Nice.
What it turns out to be at the end. So I have quite a bit of I have a few Afro funk songs. I have a few what we would call things like right here in Stockholm. That song is done in a Santana type of thing. I wanted to
Mm,
feel what it's like to play like Santana,
yeah,
and that was without even trying before.
yeah,
But I bought a song box to go with my guitar, and I
yeah.
got that effect on my guitar.
Right, right.
And when I hear the creation and I apply myself into that,
Yeah,
I'm like, wow.
nice,
So
nice.
why should I not create it because I have created a reggae album?
Yeah,
Definitely I'm going to create
of
that,
course, man, of course. Nice.
And I want to show that. I want to so my intention for the next album, well, I have one or two choices. I have enough reggae music, so-called reggae, Leon's thing,
Yeah,
and I have enough high life music and these Afro funk songs. So I can either make a mixed album, put a what, 14, 15, 16 songs in it,
yeah,
because I have a lot of material that I have not yet released.
yeah,
Some of
that's
it I
right.
maybe need to go back and uh, um, fix up certain things. Well, fix up, add. I get into a place right now, the production has to be great. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
I'm working on a tune now called Only Jah Love.
right.
That song should have been finished a long time ago. But when I started mixing the song, I hear, oh, what is that? What is that? I start criticizing myself. I'm
Yeah,
always in trouble with myself.
that's right.
So I went back over. So this song is almost like completely remade.
Yeah,
So when it is finished, now the perfection of sound and sound mixing and
yeah,
playing properly without bomb notes and so is really in me. I want to do everything that I do now to a height of perfection
yeah, yeah,
in my understanding of perfection.
yeah,
And if it satisfies my soul, the next person listening is going to like it.
yeah,
And as we have some material. Sometimes you come out with some ideas and we do a piece of thing. We have this rock reggae music.
yeah,
That is a thing nobody else have done. Not in
yeah,
the style that
yeah,
I have done it. And you know, it's really just gracious for me to know that I can do what I want to do when I have to do what I want to do. You
Yeah,
understand?
absolutely.
Period. Yes.
Yeah,
So then we have a set of songs here. We have The Storm, and we have
confusion as well. Another
Confusion.
one.
Oh, and
Yeah,
that is a complete different story.
yeah,
That is
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
is a piece of music in its own class.
yeah,
You know, and the thing about it, the friends of mine who have visited me over, my daughter heard this on the phone and she says, Pops, that is something brand new. You know,
amazing.
and she is impressed on, you know what I mean? I think my children get impressed to see the things that I try, and I sit and I do my keyboard work myself and, you know, most things myself, my bass and everything.
Right, right.
So for me, it is like, well, I always said when I am finished with the work market, because first, like my first 13 and a half years in Sweden, all I did was music.
Right, right.
When I wasn't on tour, I went to school, studied something. I worked as youth counselor or however you want to call that.
Yeah,
I have worked as music teacher. I have been working. I have studied many different things. Like I say, when the music calls, I'm gone.
yeah,
When the music calls, I'm gone from the school bench.
yeah.
So some people will say I'm a self-made man, but the whole fact is I am not made. I am in the making.
Yes, it's a very good way of thinking of it. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously, a lot of experiences from your earlier life and whatnot. Obviously, it all ties into today. Really, it kind of
Yeah.
just forms that kind of person that you are today. You can
Yeah,
say.
yes,
Yeah,
am very happy to have had the opportunity to work with thousands of Swedish school kids. I work in schools for many years,
yeah,
and many people I have given them a reason to see life differently. There are young men in Stockholm today who say, Leon, thanks because of you, I have a life today. You know,
that's
people I
amazing.
directed, they get what professions they got into. I'm not boasting or anything. It's a reality.
Mm, absolutely. I
You know,
mean, it's a very big achievement, I
yes,
suppose. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do as well.
no.
You know.
So all my life I have been kind of always sharing with others what I know,
Right.
from martial arts to carpentry to music, and you know, to just work, to always share my knowledge and my life with others, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And this to me has been the enrichment of my life.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, well, that's a very big experience, obviously outside of music, but it's a very important thing in life, to be able to teach others, your experiences of life
Yeah.
and also kind of give them a bit of guidance, if you will.
Of
I
course.
think that's
Yeah.
a very important thing, and sometimes, a lot of people just look towards their families, let's say, as people who can guide them, but to have a source of guidance outside of family is also very, very important, and
Oh yes,
it goes
that's
a long way
definitely
because it's a
Ooh,
different walk of life, if you
yeah.
will. Yeah,
And it's an essential thing that people interact. Sweden has not been easy for that, but like I say, thanks to the Most I worked in school with kids, so I had the time to share my music, my spirituality, my understanding
yeah,
of basic living.
yeah,
I came from a time in life where people didn't waste their time.
yeah, yeah,
You know, the little you had went a long way because you knew how to make that work.
yeah,
Your
absolutely.
father loved you, but he didn't stand no bullshit with you. You misbehaved, you got punished. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to be
Yeah.
fair, it's most people around the world still have it like that.
Yes, I think
Realistically, it's
so.
just I think it's just in when you come to Europe and Western societies are obviously different, you know, but everywhere around the world is different anyway. So yeah, you get the good thing is obviously a lot of experience from different people around the world.
Yeah.
When they share their knowledge and their know-how of life, I think that it comes a long way,
It goes a long way,
and it
yes.
shows different sides of life, and different
Yeah,
visions.
you had asked me one earlier in the interview about what were the first things I noticed, like that made the differences in my life.
Yeah.
The whole truth is, many things that we learned as kids as bad things to do seems to be good here.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, you can see it
So
that
it's
way.
like you had to make a turnover.
Yeah.
The next thing is coming here with my ambition as an electrician.
Right.
And my ambition to become an electrical engineer didn't work because they did not let foreigners in so easily. I mean, even people who were already qualified lawyers wind up working in the train stations,
Okay.
and while they study again in Swedish.
Okay.
But I did some studying. I studied three-phase wiring and things like that here. I seem to be coming with this one step. The only thing I can say that has really taken me to my height and really kept me in that growth is my music.
Yeah.
And I always said, well, like when I'm finished working in the system, I'm going to give my music 100% attention, and that's what I've
Nice.
been doing.
Absolutely. That's the
Yeah,
most
that's
important thing
definitely
that
yes.
musician can do. Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, look, there's a there's a lot of life that you've experienced in reality, and it also kind of manifests into the songs that you're making as well.
Yes.
So therefore, like for example, the latest well, I mean, the latest piece of music and songs that you've been working on, it seems that they've been very different to your other work. You've kind of got like a accumulation of all these experiences, and
Maturity.
yeah, I would say so
Yes.
as well.
Suddenly you can definitely say what you're
Yeah,
saying without no
yeah,
makeup. You
that's right,
understand?
that's right. Yeah,
Now I can express myself in my music much more because my musical knowledge also or talent grows.
yeah,
As the
of
time
course,
goes
of
along,
course.
and so I'm not changing skin like a snake, but I am developing into the world,
Absolutely.
into the life, into the understanding of life, into the realities we are confronted with. The pandemic has not been an easy time,
No, I wasn't.
and I hope people can look at that and get a reason to create some kind of transformation from within them.
Right.
Uh, um, Understand life and its purpose and the reasons why people do what they do and pay a little more attention to the truth of life, I
Yeah,
would say. Yes,
yeah, makes a lot of sense. That.
definitely.
Well, to conclude it, do you have any final comments for the people that you'd like to
Well,
let know? That's sitting at home
what
and
I would like to say to anybody, or to everybody actually, is in life, it is essential that you find yourself, that you become that which you are. Maybe it's hard for a lot of people to understand. To become that which you are. We do many things. We go to school, we become educated, we study a particular profession,
mm,
a subject, and we become that. But the whole fact that becomes us. We
yeah,
don't get out of it. We get
yeah,
locked into the that little box. I'm a doctor, I'm a professor, I am a this, I am a that. The whole fact in all that, it is nothing that you are.
mm,
It is what you do. You work as that.
yeah,
So we have to find out that which we are as human
yeah,
and where we're going, what is our direction. We should not allow ourselves to be consumed by professions because profession does not really define you. It is only something you have studied to make a living on.
yeah, yeah.
You
No,
understand?
absolutely, yeah,
So that people pay attention or recognize themselves, realize who they are, and accept what they are, and go for that 100%.
yeah.
You understand? And then we will discover life is much more worthwhile living.
That's right.
You hear people, a lot of people in Europe are, oh, what is life? And then everybody is questioning and they forget that they have life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Some people live one place and travel to another place. They say they go to find themselves. Where
yeah.
the hell, how it is so far away from you, man?
That's a funny one.
So let us just learn. Important thing is love and honesty. Honest first to self because you cannot give what you haven't got. So if you haven't got self honesty,
Mm,
you cannot teach anybody else to be honest. If you haven't got love for yourself, you cannot give love. You can only give what you have. So when we speak those words, we have to find those things within us. We have to wake up our internal divine understanding. We have to live through our divine intelligence because that never leads you wrong. That never leads you wrong. It always guides you to the right direction. Even listening to somebody telling you a part of their life and experience they go through. By listening, while you're listening, your divine understanding is working out a system or a message to deliver to show one, well, hey, don't feel locked out or ended, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because life goes on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah, for real.
Well, that concludes the interview. Leon, my friend.
Well, Ara,
My dear friend, thank you
man,
very much.
whoa, this I really appreciate that to the highest.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for interviewing me on my
Thank you
music.
for the opportunity.
Yes.
And yeah, we hope everyone who listened and watched at home or wherever you are in the world, hope you've had a good day and enjoy the rest of your times.
Yes, thank you, Ara, man. Hey, and man, we create a lot of music together, man. This guy, one of my students who have become we've become such close friends. I can call him sometimes my son, my nephew, or my friend. We don't have no distancing.
No.
So we really one people, and for that I give thanks and praise.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
man,
Thank
you've
you.
become an important
Likewise.
figure in my life.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you for this.